Hello, everybody. Welcome to Reefy as Fuck, episode 9 on testing. Today, we're going to talk about testing. So, I think the most sensible subject to talk about for everybody, and I assume everybody tests this, because I know there's going to be some things here that some of us either don't test at all or used to test when we were noobs, and now we don't. So, I think we should start off with salinity. So, I'll go first. I have Apexes with salinity probes on them. They are not worth a fuck. So I am not relying on them. In fact, I do remember, and I quote Scotty saying one day, "Oh, Ron, are you aiming for the Dead Sea?" So yeah, the probes they're not great. So I don't rely on them at all. So my main salinity tester now, and I know it's a controversial one, is the Hana pen. So this is a love or hate thing, okay? So I do double check my salinity with multiple things. So I do not dip this and just go, that's what it is. I'll dip this, then I'll dip my willy.
What's a
You
depth?
dip the willy first. We know.
Well, what's a depth?
Oh, for fuck's sake. Jim, why don't you just go...
I don't think the I sound is in Scottish accents. There's no I.
Just
There's
fuck
no
off and mess your orchids.
Okay.
So I will use this first. And then if I'm not entirely sure, and if things are looking a bit fucky, I'll use the Milwaukee MA887. This drifts all the time. I have to calibrate this, I would say, pretty much every time I use it.
How does that work?
That's
Ron?
shit.
Do you just direct water in that little
Yep.
thing?
You just fill that tiny recess with almost as much water as you want. Push the button, gives you a reading. If you leave it exactly where it's sitting and you push the button again, it will give you a fucking different reading. Then you push it again, and then it'll give you a different reading. And then you push it again.
And then you just average them out.
And then you get the first reading again, and you go, ooh, nice, well done, good lad. So I will calibrate this once a month with the little Hana sachets. Failing that, I go back to basics with a standard refractometer, which I calibrate with RO water every time I use it. But on a daily, weekly, bi-weekly basis, I rely on this pretty much exclusively. And touch wood, it's done okay. I have two of them because Tater sent me his over from America because he hated it so much. I wrote potatoes on it just to make sure I didn't forget where it came from. And I used that in the shop tank, and yep, touch wood, not let me down. So, who wants to talk about how they test salinity?
How often do you do that?
How often
do you test your salinity outside of the apex?
2-3 days.
Every 2 or 3 days?
Yes.
You drop that little probe, the little Hana probe in?
Dip it in, just as a matter of course, and I'm always checking my saltwater mixing, that as well. Obviously, that's the most important thing because that's pulling in automatic water changes every single night. So that has to be absolutely spot on, or you're going to drift pretty quickly. So, Jim, how do you test salinity?
I test with one of those little hydrometer flip arms. So I'm pretty pathetic when it comes to testing salinity.
You don't just taste it?
I look at the water first,
Yeah.
and I'm like, yeah, that's about what it is.
Dip
Then
your
I use
willy.
the flip arm, and it gets it right there. But I know what my flip arm is. Like I probably once a month will grab the hydrometer. I have a glass hydrometer that I put in a beaker, and I trust that more than any other thing. I don't even pull out my what is it called, Ron? You just the
Refractometer.
Yeah, the refractometer. That's been in the closet. I don't use it anymore. So yeah, I'm pretty basic. I test salinity once a week, and I test my salt vat, make sure my water change is good. Then I test my frag tank, which is tied to my main tank, so I know that's good. And then walk next door or to the next tank and test the I barely do fucking shit tank, and within 15 seconds, I know where all my tanks are.
I think
So I'm
I think no matter what test you're using, right? I think you're looking for consistency. See if it's consistently wrong and you know where it is, then you just work from that. I know that sounds totally stupid, right? But if it's consistently wrong, it's fine. That's where this, I'm sorry, falls flat for me. I did have one that worked absolutely perfectly, which I shipped over to Mr. Dub. But this one just, I don't know. It's just, you push the button and you get vastly different readings every time. It's not
Right.
just 1 point. It's all over
So-
the place.
Yeah, how
So
does that
that's
happen?
exactly it.
I mean,
No idea.
that's fucked up.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like
those things
my-
aren't cheap either.
No,
No.
no.
Oh, yeah, right. The more
think
expensive they get, the more
I
touchy
got
it seems
this
they are.
through. I
Yeah.
got this through my wholesaler. I think it was still 70 quid. But I was expecting
Yeah.
this with multiple tanks. Drop, click, drop, click, drop, click. Test done. That's it. Moving on. So it was worth it for me time wise. I mean,
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
a store like Zach there, testing salinity on a scale like that in multiple systems must be a right pain in the dick.
Yeah. The one thing that I basically somewhat calibrate that float arm every week because I do a 20-gallon water change every week. And I put 20 gallons into my salt vat of RO water. I put 11 cups of Instant Ocean Reef Crystals into the mix, and I know what that salinity is. So when I go and test my salt vat, if my salinity doesn't match 1.0255026 or 26, something's wrong. Like, did something happen in my mixing tank, or is my little flip arm wrong? And then I check the tank right next to it, which I know was 1.0255 the week before, and I know exactly how much water, RO water, I put in my tank because I can see through an eye loop how much went from my reservoir into my tank throughout the week. So that gives me a good idea. Salinity shouldn't have changed in my tank. So along with using a simple kind of cheap and crude and something that a lot of people don't trust, I have data points to know throughout while I'm checking where something could have gone wrong to catch it if it's not good. So it's not just I put that in there and I know it's good and I trust it. I have a lot of different things that are occurring that I'm looking at to tell me nothing's changed. So I guess in a kind of in a small way, I am looking at my water to see if my salinity is different. That's part of my checks. Like, is my water level good? How much RO water did I use throughout the week?
You said you
That's it.
used a hydrometer as well. So is that the great big long glass thing that's absolutely
I
huge?
only have a smaller one that I put in a 100 milliliter glass water thing so that I can test it. So
Get a small one.
it's a small one. It's kind of like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's right there. It's so easy to use.
So why do you use the flip arm instead? Like, is it slightly faster, easier?
Oh, the flip arm is way faster. I just go from tank to tank to tank and done. I don't have to grab water out of the tank, put it in a little reservoir,
Right.
drop that salinity. That there's no need to. Like if I see a change, some things that matter. Now my time's compounding, and I got to get that thing out, check it, done. Okay, I know my. So, but I always, one of the things with those little flip arm hydrometer, I don't know what are they called, but like after I use it, I always rinse it with water and leave it full of water. So I never let it dry out. So it's always floating. If you let it dry out, things start to stick, and it kind of I leave it lubed. So but it's a constant check this, check that, check that.
I think the flip arm is more consistent. If you know what it reads, okay, so you know what it should be. As long as everything is where it should be, that thing is pretty much consistent. Refractometer, though, those things will get out of whack like right now. And if you're not careful and you don't calibrate it, you won't know. Happened to me.
Yeah.
My,
my
mine was
flip
all
arm
out,
has
out of
drifted.
whack.
My flip arm
Really?
has drifted. So I read 1.025 on my flip arm is actually 1.026.
Yeah, mine doesn't read accurately, but I know that like if I use that, I know where it should be. If it's based on with the glass hydrometer, what that says, they don't show the same thing, but I know where it should be.
Yeah, same with
I don't
me.
use the
It's
flip
off.
arm all the time, but I do use it. I use it once in a while. But I've had the refractometer get out of whack quick if you're not careful.
These things will make you shit your pants sometimes. You stick that up to your eye and you go, 1025. What the fuck?
Yep.
I can't. The refractometer with my glasses, I can't see in it. Like I can't get the right focal length. So it's there. It's like next to impossible for me to use.
You just lift them up, dude, and then you focus it to your bad eyes.
No, they don't. I can't. They don't focus to my eyes. It's all blur. I can't see the numbers at all.
That's the focus for anybody's bad eyesight, isn't it? You focus
I've tried.
You're right. Oh, okay.
I've tried. It does not work for me.
I don't give a fuck.
So, who else wants to talk about how they measure salinity? I'll go up the screen. Beth, what was it you use?
I use the Hannah Salinity pen as well. Yep. And so I would say once a week, I'll test the salinity. Every water change I do, obviously test, the new water going in. And I will test the tank right before I mix my new batch of salt water, just to see if I need to, mix it a little high, to even it out. But I can't tell you the last time I calibrated my pen 6 months ago.
It's not a witch hunt.
No, so I have not had any issues yet. I do have
with anything.
Well, I haven't. No, I've just gotten into the habit of it's just so convenient. I just dip that in, and I'll do it a couple different times. Rinse it maybe, but no, I have a refractometer in my fish room, but I have not used that since I set this up. So a while.
We should do a live salinity test with Beth just to see where it lands.
Beth, this is the pH probe all over again.
Oh,
yeah.
I'm gonna calibrate that thing, and then you're gonna be way out on salinity. And then
let's not go there. Let's not go there.
No, everything. Hey, everything is doing good.
Good.
Let's not. No, don't make me get. Yeah.
Go get a flip. Go get a flip arm.
Yeah.
$10.
How do you calibrate those pens? Like,
you get
little
pouches from Hannah, which are pretty much identical to the pen, and it just slips inside. You push calibrate. You wait 10 seconds. Done.
I have a box of them. I just haven't used them. I have
the
used them.
expiration date on them?
No, shush. They're not expired.
All right. This is a teachable moment. Moment.
Zach's got them in stock, in date.
Yeah.
So, Jason, how do you test your salinity?
I use a refractometer most of the time. But after it went out of whack, the last time I got the glass hydrometer just so I can verify, because I don't trust the calibration solution, and I honestly don't trust calibrating it with RO water either. Like, I don't know, like I just don't trust that thing. It's great for once a week. I test once a week, usually before a water change. But I do calibrate the refractometer regularly against the hydrometer. And then usually I might use the swing arm, like when I'm mixing salt water and stuff.
So that's my question. Like if you're using your hydrometer to calibrate your refractometer, isn't it easier just to use the hydrometer?
Well, I mean, I don't do it every week. I do it like once a month, probably. Or if I look at it and I'm like, that seems wonky, if something doesn't seem quite right. It's the same thing that you do with the flip arm. If you test it and something doesn't seem quite right, then you just, I'll check it, make sure.
Yeah.
I have had my ATO get stuck before, and pump some extra RO water in. That's how I got the salinity out the last time, I think, because that's the only thing I can think of that would have jacked it up. And so I'm just a little bit more. I try to be on top of that a little bit more than I used to be. I used to just only check it like when I did a water change and I didn't really pay attention otherwise, but I try to check it a little bit more now.
Do you not think it's a little bit odd how simple it is to test conductivity of salt water, but how many companies have just not got it right? It's really weird to me. Really weird to me. Anyway, Jordan, how do you test your salinity?
So I use a refractometer, probably test twice a week, and I'll calibrate it every time. And even then, I'm doing it like I'll calibrate it like 2 or 3 times with RO water each time. So I'm sure you've seen an episode on a specific podcast where they're like, oh, you fill the lens and then you wipe it off and then you fill the lens again and then you close it and look at it. I just don't think that I'm always like getting all the salt off of the lens of the refractometer. So I'll rinse it a few times with RO water and wipe it off really good and then calibrate it. And then, so yeah, I'll do it twice a week, usually once when I'm doing my water change. So I'm testing my buckets and then I'm testing my tank to make sure that I'm going to stick within the range that I want. And then I'll do it again when I'm testing like midweek because if I test my alkalinity and it's high, but my salinity is also high, it doesn't really matter to me. Like I'll adjust my salinity down, but if my salinity is correct or low, that's going to affect how other things test, right? So salinity first before I test anything else.
Yep. How often when you're calibrating over and over and over, how much are you adjusting?
Like to recalibrate the refractometer on a weekly basis? Yeah. Oftentimes none, but typically like 1 part per 1,000, like up or down. I'll just, make sure that it's right on that line because otherwise, like you guys are all saying, it'll drift if you just let it go, right? So.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How much? So in testing salinity, how much do you all worry about drift? Like if my tank is between 1.0245 and 1.0265, I don't give a shit.
1025, 1026, I'm fine with. If it gets down to 24 or if it gets up to 27, I'm like, nope.
I don't even make adjustments if it's within that range because it could be within the scale of my measurement. So it's just kind of like, if I'm within that range, I'm good. If it's 2 weeks at 1.0245, I may add some. What I would do is I would add an extra few gallons of salt water into my tank and just let that be my top off, something like that. But
yeah, you're not getting osmotic problems with marine life between those two numbers at all. And bearing in mind, the chances are, unless like what Jason said and your auto top off's getting stuck on and you are changing it quickly, chances are your drift is happening so slowly. I mean, how often do you bring fish home from an LFS? Have you ever tested LFS water? Not to slag off any LFSs in particular, but anytime I bring a fish home from mine in Glasgow, it's down at 1020. Now, I understand why they're doing it for parasitic issues and potentially saving money on salt. Controversial, I know, but
what about your wholesalers, Ron? How low do those come in at?
1020 to 1022 normally.
Oh, wow.
The one I'm using just now is 1022. The delivery I got this week, 1023, and I'm like, oof, not bad.
We get them even lower here, like
really?
17. Yeah.
What?
Wow.
Yep. It takes forever to. That's why why the back room has been a game changer. I can drop the whole entire system down to like that and I don't have to drip for hours all day long to try to get them up to that right
That's
salinity.
crazy.
It's crazy.
Again,
Saving
though, it's
money
all-
on salt, I guess. I think
yeah,
they're
it's all
more
down to
worried about
speed,
saving
though, innit?
money
Yeah.
than any parasites.
Well, I think as a hobbyist, we go crazy about small things. You know what I'm saying? Whereas like the wholesalers are like, fuck it, that fish will be fine. And it doesn't matter quite as much to them because it's just one fish out of how many? I mean, like,
Now, what benefits are there? There is like more oxygen, right? With lower salinity. I do believe.
yeah, I don't know about that. I mean, I can't say to that, but
Well, I don't know
mean,
what kind
you're
of
probably
testing yet.
right.
Maybe
But
the fish shit better in lower salinity.
Yeah, that may be.
Well,
It's easy to go down with a fish than it is to go up. Sorry for interrupting.
No, Zach. I think your point is totally
Yeah.
spot on here, because if you're shipping a fish in a bag with limited quantities of oxygen, shipping it with lower salinity makes total sense.
Yeah.
And that may be wrong. I don't know if it's a fact, but that's what I've been told.
We'll both look like
people
dicks then.
above.
It's fine. I can edit it out after
Yeah.
I've had Google later. Cool. So we'll keep going down the screen. Ian, how do you test your salinity?
Good old fashioned refractometer, and sometimes I'll taste it.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
honestly, if it's between 33 and 35 parts per thousand, that's when I'm good. I'll check it with RO water that I've had in a cup sitting in the tank for like 20 minutes. So it's the same temperature as the tank. And I don't get very much drift that way. And I test it once a week, and I'll calibrate it once a week.
Interesting.
There's one people
going
forget.
to that extra level, because
I mean,
nobody's in this hobby because they're fucking rational. Let's all be honest about that, right?
they say temperature does play a factor. So I don't
mean,
know, but
if we're like calibrating with RO water that's been sitting in a bucket off to the side, that's room temperature, and that might be 68 degrees. And our refractometers are calibrated at, 75. Then we should probably try to be shooting towards that 75 when we calibrate, right?
you're probably right about that.
All
I
of
never
these
really
new
thought about
ones-
it like that, but you're probably right.
Well, if RO water is zero,
Right.
is it zero at 100 degrees and zero at 65 degrees?
Do you guys not
So,
have these
I don't know.
refractometers with the
I
automatic
don't think you're
temperature?
entirely supposed. I don't think you're entirely supposed to calibrate with RO water. I think you're supposed to calibrate with a solution that closer to what you are testing for. And calibrate
Oh,
towards
that's
that.
That's a
what
big
that's
debate.
the way I understand it too.
Ideally,
That's a big
perfect world.
debate. I mean,
Yeah.
across like forums and whatnot, there's a lot of debate about that, whether or not you test with RO water or you calibrate with RO water or a solution.
The solutions
about both?
evaporate.
Like you can
I
read
hear
like
the solutions could evaporate. I guess
They do.
but- do they?
yeah.
Yeah,
If you
so-
accidentally leave the cap off or something. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Zach,
They just
I
have a
believe
squirt
the
cap, though.
the philosophy is a measuring tool. The further away from your measurement number, the more deviation. So you're supposed to calibrate close to where you're measuring. But
With your temperature,
if you're
like
trying
Ian
to
said,
measure
too.
with, if you're trying to measure with a salinity of something closer to what you're measuring, you have to be able to trust that solution. And if you trust zero more than you trust that solution, then maybe it's better to with salinity to measure zero and go from there. Where
Still giving it's a consistency thing. Yeah. It's,
yeah, accuracy.
It's just how I've done it for years. I mean, I started saltwater working at a fish store with saltwater, and they told me just use RO water. So
Yeah.
that's what I've been doing.
Oh no,
for years.
and lots of people do. I mean, that's like I said, it's a huge debate though. If you look at like Reef to Reef or something like that,
Oh, I've
man,
seen it.
There's
I've
pages
seen
and
'em.
pages and pages of like people arguing about it. It's crazy.
I think I'm probably the only oddball one here using the calibration fluid.
You've
I
got a
have
lot
some.
more
I
skin in
don't-
the game than most of us, I think, Zach.
are you producing your own calibration fluid, Mr. Budnick?
I run a little bit saltier
Do
personally.
you?
So
Do you?
it's salty, yeah, very salty.
Unfortunately, Brianna has to do the testing too. So anyway,
Oh,
onwards.
God.
Mr. Butnick, would you like to talk about how you test salinity? You obviously have a store in Great Lakes, Michigan. So tell us a little bit about how you do it in a store.
So first we started with when I was just a hobbyist, still am just a hobbyist, but I
You're
did
professional.
the swing arm, and I came across like it must have been a fluke or a bad one out of the batch, but every tank we tested it on, it swung all the way to the top no matter where we took it. And then the next one I bought was fine. So it screwed me over for a little bit starting off. I was really confused. The other LFS was kind of teasing me for it, like, dude, you're salty. And when I brought my arm in and later on I switched to the Hanna salinity probe, and it was pretty baller. But after a year and a half, I think I got the inside wet and kind of fried it somehow. They seal it pretty darn good, but it must have just like got old, or maybe I stored it bad. Yep.
Yeah.
I loved it. But at the second one, the screen like fritzed out on me. It wouldn't work, and I had just gotten it. So then the third one I got, it would lose calibration after like 30 minutes of calibrating. We would test the tank dead on, go to the next one, start testing a little bit. Like, man, it's just brackish, a brackish reef tank because it's so low. So now we keep them and we just use them to read temperature and stuff. So there are temperature probes when we need to test around. Now I have just switched to refractometer, and we haven't always used these. So this is kind of something new. I haven't had time enough to have one fail on me yet. So it could happen. I do hear you have to keep these at the temperature, like a warm temperature too. Like if you pull them out of, if you were driving around a maintenance guy in the back of your truck and these got really cold or something and you went in and tested somebody's tank, you would get a bad test. I don't know how much, but
That's why I
you're
store
supposed to keep them
mine.
warm.
I store mine in my bum hole. So this section, it goes up to here, and then I get to pull it back out.
Oh yeah,
This
I can
I
see
thought
the.
it was.
Yeah.
I thought it was
Pink
two.
eye.
I thought you
I
needed
can see
two
the
in there.
pink eye.
No, just the one, Jason. I don't know
Just
if you
one.
could, is there an echo or
Huh. I mean, I thought there was two in there, but okay.
no. And it's
Not as-
interestingly,
Not as loose as I thought.
while it's up there, you can give yourself a colostomy.
So how do I test this salinity now?
I think we should ask Brandon how he tests his salinity.
Yeah. Well, very similar. I've got the Hanna pen here. I haven't really had any problems with it, knock on wood. I've got the refractometer as well. Yeah, that's pretty much what I do every time before. I test my water when I make it large brute trash can, and then each tank before I do a water change and after.
And do you calibrate your pen, Brandon?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, every month I calibrate this bad boy. I found out that if I didn't do that, it was pretty wacky. So,
are you listening, Beth? I wouldn't say anything if it wasn't for the fact you had a fucking box of them on your shelf.
It's also funny. I realized this earlier today that I actually have this piece of shit, which is the I believe it's the Hanna pH tester, and like this was just such a wacky thing. It's even got the probe here, which I'm surprised the probe is actually still somewhat moist, Ron. And yeah, because this thing I just kind of gave up on.
Moist.
Why did you single me out for the word
moist? Well, because honestly, because you went from butthole, from butthole. Like I feel like it was like, what is it, categories or something? Like butthole is somewhat connected to moist.
I'm only.
Did you say categories?
Oh,
categories.
Oh my God!
I didn't even think of that, Zach. You nailed it, buddy. Yeah. But I'm actually pretty good at the salinity testing. Then again, it's you put it in the tank. Hopefully it's good, and then you're on your way. But yeah, I'm actually pretty okay with this one. I think. Watch, this thing will probably fucking break on me today.
It's got to be important for you with small tanks. I mean, your drift is going to be pretty quick.
Oh yes. No, I mean I have the ATO downstairs. I had an ATO up here, and then it just like flooded my tank. It like was that like 2.4 one night. I checked the next day, was it like 0, 2.0? Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
So
I don't
Yeah.
think people should
Yeah.
fuck with cheap, shitty ATOs.
Yeah.
Absolutely go with the best you can afford.
Yeah, that makes sense.
A robot literally changing the composition of your tank water. Pay the money, get a good one, moving on. Okay,
Yeah.
so on to testing. We
That
have
would be too smart. I'm not going to do that. That would be
What
smart.
about if they're
Right.
What about if they're gifted to you?
Good question.
Fuck that. Use cheap ass ATO.
So moving on. So the other things I use to test. So I'm going to quickly brush on the API Aquaspin, right? So I got this for checking our freshwater system at the garden centre because staff are not 100% consistent on things. I can't be there at all times to watch exactly what's being done, where the sample's been taken from, what else is going in the sample. You get my point. So I bought this. So they take a tiny sample of water from our fish system, inject it into this little disc with multiple parameter cells in it, pop it in this, push a button, they get a reading. They then log these readings and we just keep an eye on things. So I got a box of saltwater discs, and I have to say the freshwater, perfect, no issues. Saltwater, phosphate, alkalinity, calcium, nitrate are all absolutely spot on, consistent with my other tests. However, magnesium, things like that, I can't rely on it. So again, it's a kind of 50-50 of. The only issue I have with this is the fact that people are bringing their samples into shops. That's what this unit was made for. It was designed for fish shops. Customers would come in with a tiny little vial, they test it, they go away, and this even suggests via email to that customer what products made by API they can use to fix potential issues that the tests show. Anyway, I'm not going to spend too much more time on that. The other machine I use, and this is my daily use, is the Marine Master HANA checker. So this does, let me double check, alkalinity, calcium, phosphate, nitrate, nitrite, and pH. And that is what I use all the time. If I think this is funky, I double check with the specific eggs. And I have, touch wood, never had an issue with this or these since I started in the hobby. I'm a fan. So what does everybody use?
Ron, you're the host, but I'd like to steer this in a little different direction just for a second.
Sure, go for it.
If you would allow.
Go for it.
Okay, so we're going through each individual test. But I think what's something that is important before you start breaking down tests is like at the different stages of a reef for reefers, like we get some beginners in our group now. Like at what stages, what should beginners be testing into, like what do we test, or more advanced hobbyists, and like what do you test and why? Like, for example, when my tank was new, you're going through a cycle, you're testing ammonia, nitrite, and salinity. Maybe that's the only three I'm testing when my tank is cycling. I don't care about anything else. I don't care about phosphate. Maybe I'm test phosphate too. So let's say phosphate, nitrite, nitrate, salinity, right? That's it. Let's get a baseline. I'm not changing anything. I'm watching a cycle. I'm learning what a cycle does, right? I'm seeing my ammonia go up and go down and go up and go down. And then I'm seeing if any nitrate or phosphates start to occur. So you're watching that. If you're not adding coral and you're waiting till you get deeper into a system that's established, quite honestly, the calcium magnesium and alkalinity don't really matter.
Yeah, I
There's
totally
no
agree.
reason.
I have people.
There's no
with,
reason to waste your time testing them. If you
Yeah.
want to learn how to test them and watch their level and learn. But don't think you've got to make any changes. None.
When I
Do you know what I
started,
mean?
On you go, Ian.
nitrates and phosphates and salinity when you start, I think were the biggest things to watch. Then once you get corals, alkalinity, calcium, stuff like that is important. But
Yeah, I mean,
Well, I
we
think
you
for
don't know
new reefers,
if you don't know what you're testing for or how to change it, then just do your water changes, you know?
yeah, this is where it
Yeah,
comes
you-
to your
that's-
choice of salt. Certain salts you can pretty much just freewheel. Our shop tank, I don't test alkalinity, calcium, and magnesium. It's full of soft corals, loads of fish, automatic water change every night. I don't test anything other than phosphates now and again, which get really high. But I don't see any negative effects of the really high phosphates. Nothing's closed up. Corals are all fine. Water quality is fine. So it's not something I scream about.
so when I pass like that knowledge on to a beginning reefer, I would never say don't test. But what
Right.
I would say is don't react to any of your tests. Learn
right
to
there.
test. Don't worry about what the results are. Learn if your tests are accurate and learn if they are consistent. Like if you're getting tests reading 1 week to another week, not day to day, like you don't need to test day to day. Like if you're getting readings from 1 week to another week, okay, test the next week. What is it? You will get better at testing, and your curve of your inaccuracies of your testing will get better. And then once you start dialing in, your tank starts dialing itself in through maturity, you can start to play with it. But you need to learn. You need to learn. You don't need to test and change things daily. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I think
does.
YouTube is an absolute blessing for this hobby, but it's also a fucking veiled demon. Depending on what rabbit hole you go down and who you latch onto on YouTube, you can go way down the wrong road. I mean, we know there's people out there that say you don't need to test. I'm sorry, for a beginner, you're going to kill animals.
Yeah.
It's utterly ridiculous. I'm not saying
Yeah.
you have to be obsessive and you have to test your alkalinity every fucking hour. It's not what I'm saying. But there's some basic tests for beginners. You're going to have toxic water.
Yep.
Yeah, you've got to learn.
You're absolutely right.
basics. And depending on who you watch on YouTube, I'll leave it there.
I agree.
So the way
Test your water.
the way I rolled was that like ammonia, nitrate, phosphate, alkalinity. Okay, now I think I'm through the cycle. What am I going to do? I want to add fish. So now I'm going to start testing temp as well. So maybe my temp is, I get my temp locked in. And actually now temperatures for me is probably what is measured the most. Because it's on my Inkbird, it's measured all the time. I have a thermometer that I dump in my tank to double check. But yeah, by far temperature becomes probably the thing that is tested the most, just because there's always something, an Inkbird or something measuring it. And I'm not like you guys where I'm not dumping coral in my tank right away. So I'm then testing alkalinity, calcium, magnesium to learn how to test. After that point, okay, it's stable, phosphate's stable, nitrates are stable. I put coral in my tank, 1 or 2 pieces. How do those pieces do? Does my alkalinity change? Does my calcium change? After I already know how to watch it not changing, because there's nothing in it to use it. So I know how to test it. Then I add the coral. Does it change? No. Does it change? No. Okay, are my coral healthy? Yeah. Add a couple more corals. Add a few more corals. Add 10 more corals. Now I watch it. How is it changing now? Oh, it's going down. Magnesium's going down a little bit. Okay. How do I add magnesium? Or how do I add alkalinity? How do I add? I did measure pH for a while, but I don't measure pH anymore. I don't really care about it. I'm not dosing, calc. I'm not, dosing the pH. It's been 8, steady 8 every day, every Saturday or Sunday at 4 o'clock. So whatever, it's 8. So pH is not even something I'm worried about, but it's the learning and watching as things start to graph. And I would highly recommend any new reefers a lot of people write all their stuff down. If you get the app Aquatic Log, you can keep track of one tank. And I've got a map for 3.5 years of every test I've ever done on my tank. And I don't have to go back to an Excel spreadsheet. I don't have to go back to a written out paper. I can see every test I ever did. I can see everything every water change I've ever done. It's a great app.
How much do they pay you?
So I think that's really important. Sorry, go on, Jack. And sorry to derail this, Ron.
No, you're fine, but you have fucked most of my later on conversations. So,
oh, sorry.
I'll scrap the what is it you call it? Not the dossier. What is it? What is it you call it, Jim? When I write everything down.
Itinerary.
Oh, your
itinerary. Yeah,
your itinerary.
That's the one.
You didn't give it to us, so we didn't know what we were walking into. You probably gave it to Brandon, right? You gave it to Brandon, but you didn't give it to us.
Brandon,
I don't know what I had to pay for that agenda, though, Jim.
Agenda, that's the word.
Paywall.
That's the
word. Be thankful you didn't have to pay that, sir.
Brandon sending money to Scotland. Now we didn't know this is how this was
Who
going.
said it was money?
Feet pics.
I really appreciate that popcorn bucket. I don't eat popcorn though, but I do appreciate it.
Well, that's good. You're not gonna have multiple uses for it then.
Okay. So anyway, back to testing. I only test alkalinity, calcium, and magnesium on a weekly basis. Now and again, maybe every month, I'll do phosphate. My Trident does my alkalinity, calcium, and magnesium. It does it 4 times a day. And the only reason why it does it 4 times a day, and the only reason why I still have my Trident, because I nearly fell out with it based on the price of the reagents, is because of Jonas at APC, who is an absolute legend, has changed everything in terms of reagents for me, and I could not be a bigger fan of his. What a gentleman. He even did conversions of all of the different concentrates for me to send over here in litres out of gallons and things like that. Honestly, customer service is incredible, and he hand makes every single kit and then posts them out. Unbelievable. So huge fan. Thank you, Jonas. Alkalinity, calcium, and magnesium is done by Trident. I then do Trident controlled dosing based off of those results. However, once a week, minimum, depends how bored I am. I'll also do my alkalinity, calcium, and magnesium. Sorry, alkalinity and calcium with this, and magnesium with the Hana egg, just to double check the readings of the Trident. And depending on what I then come up with these results, I then calibrate the Trident based on my results from my Hana checkers, not from their calibration solution. I don't particularly agree with that, but there you go. So what does everybody else test weekly?
You didn't mention nitrates. Like you said, phosphates once a month, maybe. Nitrates never?
Nope. Maybe once a quarter. I'll check.
So
and they always come up like 15, 20, something like that.
I throw nitrate into the same category as phosphate. I know that the ratio is all bullshit. But I kind of weigh them the same. Like if I were to weigh what measurements I feel are more important, phosphate, nitrate, once a month, everything else once a week, temperature, daily check, make sure your heater didn't go. So
Yeah, on the subject of temperature, I had so this tells me temperature. It's okay. It's okay. Has anyone ever used a high-end food temperature probe? They are fucking awesome, and I don't know why. No, they normally come with stainless steel tips, therefore they don't rust anywhere near salt water. They're normally waterproof, and that's what I double check all of my tanks with, and it is pinpoint accurate. And
Good idea.
I don't know why nobody else uses them.
No, there's no
Interesting.
aquarium name on it.
Yeah.
Well, that's
There's
true.
no Ecotech name behind it.
That's it. I just pop through to the cafe, get it, stick it in my tank, and then throw it back in a burger. There you go.
A meat thermometer, right? Like,
I don't do that. I don't.
It's for measuring the milk,
Yeah,
the malt
the malt
for coffee.
Bulk.
Yeah,
Miss some
Yeah.
palytoxin on the burger.
that's the one.
So-
Oof.
Are you guys on team raising, trying to lower your nutrients, or team trying to raise your nutrients all the time?
I'm on
you've got
team.
two different-
I don't give a fuck.
Don't give a
I'm
fuck.
with
So there's
ya.
3.
Yes, there's 3. I don't. I've seen my, like, for example, the shop system. It is sitting at 0.6 phosphates right now, and it looks just as good as it did this time last year at 0.1, 0.05.
What if your phosphates went up to 10, 20?
Mm.
You still don't give a fuck?
Somebody threw a plate of macaroni in there. I don't know. No, I'm not.
Every tank.
I do remember seeing somebody say their phosphate, like, we're like, how the fuck do you even get phosphates at 20? Like, what the fuck are you dumping in your tank?
20 ppm?
I
Yeah.
Crazy.
I check it on a trend. So if I'm testing once a month for phosphate and it's 0.5, 0.6, 0.7, then there's a problem there and I'm going to have to stop it. But, you know, it's now testing consistently at 0.6 and there's
I
nothing
say
wrong.
you can't throw that in. I don't give a fuck then.
So I am so afraid
True.
of 0. I am always at the cusp of 0
Oh,
and getting there. And the tank just wants to be 0 no matter what I dumped into it or how
This-
much nitrate I pour into it. Or
this tank is exactly the same as what you're describing. I struggle with this one. I really do. I've got
skimmers are off, filters are off.
Yep, I've tried. I take the skimmer
Yeah.
out, you know, throwing refroids in by the fistful, and it creeps up. But yeah, this tank desperately wants to be at 0. I know exactly what you mean.
And that does worry me. Because I do see issues, like especially in the Acro tank. I know it's not directly nitrate that they're taking on, and maybe that's more of an ammonia based thing they're doing. But when I don't add nitrates and when I do add bottled nitrates, there is a huge color difference. And I get pretty upset when I notice my doser is not working and I've bottomed out.
Yep.
And sure as shit, that's the one thing I change and it fixes it.
I think
That's
it
a
was,
great point.
I think it was
because
this
when we-
last year. I was dosing RTN STNX by Fonamarin, and Mr. Dub, I don't think he was sleeping, so he was awake in the middle of the night one night, and he said to me, "Have you checked your phosphates?" And I was like, "Oh, check them once a month." He says, "No, check your phosphates." Check my phosphates, 0. And my coralline was losing color. The corals are looking shitty. And he said, "Do you have refroids?" And I said, "I do." He says, "Throw some in." 3-4 days later, everything just started to balance again. So I then got that warning that this tank is just desperate to just fall to 0.
So
It's weird.
That would be scary to me because I'm not as worried about high nitrates and phosphates as I would be worried about a bottom out of phosphate and nitrate. So like I say, maybe I don't test those, but monthly. But if I see changes, I'm gonna start testing them weekly. If I see changes weekly, I'm going to be concerned and I'm going to think, do I need to add phosphate or nitrates or refroids or whatever to my tank? So so when the recommendation is don't test these but monthly, that's not the case. It's watch the trend.
Yeah.
If the trend is they're okay monthly, you can test phosphate and nitrate monthly because they won't swing that fast. If I'm up at, like, for me, my phosphate's 0.5, my nitrates are 25. Is it going to bottom out in a month? I'll see it in my coral. It's not going to bottom out in a month. My
That'd be
tank's
pretty
been at
surprising.
that for a year and a half. It's not going to change. But if I see a trend, I'm going to start examining my tank. I'm going to start looking for something. I'm going to test a little more.
I think I have to speak for everybody here, and I'm sure everyone will agree here. Nobody here is recommending what they're saying they do. They're just saying that's what they do. So, for example, I'm only testing phosphate once a month.
Right.
Yep.
The situation bottomed out. I know I should have tested more, 100%. 100%. And now I know that this is just bouncing on that baseline of 0. I do test this one tank more for phosphate than I do all my others.
Right. So now the
where
new
it's not-
testers are coming out, right? The nitrate phosphate battle between Neptune and Hydros, and hopefully we get to see that play out a little more, and Neptune doesn't just fold. But that's interesting. Like, I would never, like, I don't have controllers, but if I was a controller guy and I only test my nitrate phosphate once a month, I would never buy that. But for like
Yeah.
Zach and Ron, you two, that probably would be a great tool, because you're so close to bottoming out that your corals are going to be better off if you can track that.
Listen, I totally agree with the testing and the frequency and not having to do it yourself physically. But I am not having another Trident sitting next to my fish tanks. I'm not doing it. I don't care what it tests. No, I'm not doing it.
But you love your Trident.
It's been very, very good for me, and in particular in the frag system. If I had a system,
Ron will not buy Trident.
hold on, the new Trident, the NP,
The
new Trident.
Where do you
You
think
want me
your
to sign?
system would be without Trident then?
I think it would probably be quite similar, but I would have had to spend a lot more time on testing. I think the fact that this tests my main 3-4 times a day, and I see these trends, and then my doses kick in and keep it. It's consistency and stability for me. Moving on to the dose automatic dosing with the Trident automatic testing has given me really, really solid results, especially with the frag system taking out 20, 30, 50 corals all at one time. Things are raising really quick. I mean, my alkalinity could potentially go through the roof after I take that amount of corals out. But the Trident catches it, stops the dosing entirely. It's just easy for me.
So I don't know enough about the nitrate phosphate automatic testers, but I would assume even Trident, all it's doing is testing, and then the Neptune has programming in the background that tells the system what to do off of that result, right? So nitrate phosphate, same thing. You're testing, you're getting physical results of what those tests are. Is it then telling a doser dump some phosphate in the tank, or
I'll be totally honest, I'm not entirely sure. I don't even know if, I assume the software's in Fusion now. I've not looked. I'm not planning on buying one. But I would assume you'll be able to base dosing of phosphates and nitrates off of those results, yeah.
I would think
I
so.
wonder if you can dose down. Can you dose like lanthanum chloride to drop phosphate off of the results of your NP?
You should. I mean, again, I don't actually know. I don't have the facts, but I would assume you will be able to dose anything you want to bring it up or down, just like you can with alkalinity, calcium, and magnesium.
So, Ron, do you use any like probes for your auto testing? Because I know you obviously have like your calcium, alkalinity, magnesium, which rely on reagents, and I assume if you kind of keep those current, that you're not really going to run into any testing issues. But like, obviously, we have a lot of people who test pH, salinity. I know you use the salinity probe, which you said you don't really look at anyway.
I've got a pH probe on the Apex. It's been pretty solid for me.
Right. but you're not like dosing anything based on that pH value. Where I know, like, I think Zach, Dub,
And I do
Me
as well.
too.
you do it as well.
Yep.
How do you guys like? Do you have like a reminder on your phone once a week to like check that probe, or like what do you? Because what I like about the manual testing is like the precision isn't really there, but the accuracy is typically there as long as the kit's not like expired. But obviously, like you don't wipe your probe off or you don't calibrate it often enough, like you're gonna have a drift, and then you're dosing
Yeah.
your tank based on that. So what's your?
I do 2 months, 2 months calibrations.
Yep.
I just put it in my calendar, make sure they're always try to be clean. They're never clean, but I try to keep them clean.
And
Dirty as
what's
soon as they
like
go back in.
You mean
when
Brianna
you
keeps
do
them
that? What's the snap like? Is it generally pretty flat even after 2 months, or do you notice like, oh shit, my pH was 0.3 difference after that calibration?
So maybe I would get a small like 0.3 sounds a reasonable drift that you could get after them, especially after you've gotten a probe you've used for a year and a half. I think they recommend changing them every year, but I try to push them to 2 years if it's still working. I'm not too worried about it.
Mine just hit a year old. I'm thinking about pushing it, but it's still working. You know, it's like when I calibrated, it drifted 0.05. So like not much.
I think the having and seeing the pH is super handy. I didn't realize how big of a swing your tank has until you actually have
Yeah.
not that the swing matters, but being able to see the tank when it's not doing that swing has helped me figure out some problems like clogs in my dosing lines and things like that I wouldn't have caught right away. I was like, whoa, why isn't there a huge valley last night? Or what the hell changed? And I go down and I investigate something, and I just see that the consistency of the pattern is just off. Or maybe the fan or the AC got left on a certain way, and that even the temperature will sometimes change the way that the photosynthesis is working in the tank. I guess they're just not doing the same they were doing yesterday. And I think pH plays a big role in that.
Mm-hmm.
So do you run the salinity probe the same way, Zach?
I don't use a salinity probe, never have.
As a store owner, Mr. Budnick, are you excited by the advances in the automatic testing? Do you think that's something you would get more involved in?
So I'd like my Alcatronic has been a godsend, and especially for Brianna, because I don't do shit for testing. Obviously, you guys. Brianna does all this work. She has these awesome logs. I made the logs, but she fills them out.
Okay.
Everybody gets to come at every tank. The customers get to look at everything that's going on since the tank has been set up. They can judge us, or they can just see what's going on. It doesn't really matter to us. Our numbers are never what we want them to be. It sucks. I feel like I'm always chasing every number. It's always lower, which is, I guess, a good thing. We did have an issue with phosphate, but she's better than any automatic tester, and she rarely complains about it. It's a godsend. But the Alcatronic has saved since we were pretty up on testing it daily, and that was a big part of our argument. That was her job. So we have no arguments about testing anymore because Alcatronic has filled completely that role or job for her. She only has to do very often. She doesn't have to do much testing now, like monthly on each system.
I was
Alcatronic saved my marriage.
Yeah, 100%. Alcatronic saved our marriage.
Probably the most expensive auto tester, though, Brianna?
No, she's easy.
I was hoping
cheaper than a Trident.
Cheaper than a Trident.
No one's saying anything.
I'm leaving that alone.
Just silence.
I'm too. We're not going.
Yeah.
She's
I'm
too important.
not saying a
She
word.
is too important.
We all think
it.
we're big hard men, and we're all just sitting here going, nope.
Nope.
Nope. Not walking in that one. I was hoping she was going to join today.
She lost her headphones was her big excuse. Can't find them.
Yeah, I mean, she can take yours.
Yeah. I told her, I offered. She got a little nervous.
No, that's okay. It would be really, really cool if she joined us sometime because she is every bit of that store as you are. So that would be cool if she could join us. So yeah, what is everybody testing the most regularly? I mean, I am genuinely assuming it's going to be pretty much the same across the board. So Jim, what are you testing weekly?
So my log is temperature, salinity, alkalinity, calcium, magnesium. That's every week.
Okay.
And then on top of that, monthly will be phosphate and nitrate. And I stopped checking pH because I wasn't doing anything with it, and it's been 8 to 8.1 for 3.5 years. So
Is anybody doing anything different from that? I don't want to go around everybody just to repeat it, but is anyone
I
going?
only test calcium and magnesium like once a month.
Yep.
I mean, I test nitrate and phosphate more often. Smaller tank, that stuff can go crazy if you're not careful. Especially, I mean, this tank's more stable, but the my old tank, 26 gallon, man, that thing could go nuts before you even knew it. So I test those a little bit more often. Small tanks have their own challenges.
I will say
So,
I barely do fucking shit tank. I only drop the floating hydrometer in there. I don't ever test anything else in that tank. So that tank gets water from my display system, 4 gallons a week, which is 16, 17% water change. I don't do anything else with that tank.
I also have a similar tank, but I don't do fucking shit at all. Tank, nothing in it, but it does okay.
Yeah, I've found a lot of those. I don't do fucking shit tanks. The one thing that can creep, and then like, yeah, I haven't done shit on this tank for 7 years. And then you're like, hey, where'd that tank go? Oh, I had a salinity crash. I didn't realize it crept up to 1.035. So that's the one thing, like every once in a while, that takes me an extra 5 seconds to just drop that little floating hydrometer in there and double check. Like that tank did creep up from me to red sea levels. And I thought, oh, I better add some more top off to this one. So.
This week I am chasing salinity, trying to get up after our last auction. I wasn't good about
because you pulled so much water out to ship.
Yeah, I wasn't good about adding it back. The ATO filled it too fast for me to fill the salt in time. And
what do they say? Chase colors, not numbers. I think in the like, obviously you have a store, that's different, but like noobs like me, I don't know. I saw a BRS video, a Worldwide Corals video, and then I stopped like testing as much. I think like the pH has stopped doing that. Just trying to focus on the tanks and see if anything is falling apart. You know,
pH is a brand new thing, right? Recently, these last few years. It was never. Don't ever bother looking at it, and now check it out if you want.
So one thing I think is important here is what inhabitants do you have in your tank? We're all telling what we test, but why? Well, I have an SPS dominant tank. So I'm worried about alkalinity, calcium, magnesium. I'm worried about those three. If you have a softy tank, all for reef, or you're dosing just all, I'm dosing individual elements that I make or purchase myself, individual, not all for reef. So if you're dosing all for reef versus individual elements, do you test differently? Do you have a Fowler tank? That's why I don't check
calcium and magnesium, because it's off reef, takes care of all of it, and there's no way for me to change it, even if one was out of whack. Like, it's just going to have to work itself out.
And your tank is a softy tank, right?
It's got a little bit of everything in it right now. I mean, it's got some softies, some LPS, a couple of sticks. So yeah, it's got a huge Duncan.
Big donkey.
Yeah.
So I think what you have in your tank matters, because what you have in your tank is going to consume different amounts of different elements.
If I had all sticks, it may be, I might have to watch it a little bit more, but I primarily worry about alkalinity and test that more than anything else, because sometimes it'll do some funny things. It'll consumption will move around a little bit. So I just kind of watch that.
I think
If it looks like it's going to be stupid, I might test the alkalinity twice a week as opposed to once a week.
if testing pH as your main parameter works for you, then fire in. If alkalinity is the one you want to aim for, great.
Yeah.
The results are in your tank. So yeah,
Right.
whatever you want to hold on to is fine. I don't quite understand the obsession with pH, but that's because I primarily check alkalinity just like you, Jason, and it works for me.
I have
Good.
shut offs for all the systems. So pH is not allowed to go over a certain point, and then alkalinity is not allowed to go over a certain point. Like calc would stop at both points, or the calcium reactor would take over or whatnot if
So
I really had to lower pH or something for some reason.
are you ever at a point where you're at like 8.35 pH and your alkalinity is like 6?
Yeah,
Right.
Yeah, but the corals
Yeah, so
look
that-
awesome. So
Yeah,
it
corals
doesn't
look
matter.
awesome.
Doesn't
But
matter.
it freaks me out, and I do pump my calcium reactor up a little higher when I start to see that.
I don't
Yeah.
do shit. So I'm in the
Yeah.
same boat as Jason, or not Jason, but the store owner. I'm sorry, I'm new, trying to learn the name. Zach. But I do pH and calc, or pH controlled by calc.
Yeah,
And I check alkalinity maybe once a week, maybe twice,
okay.
but pH is in a certain range and it doesn't go above 2.5, 8.25.
Now I have it shut off at like 0.35, but it sometimes will just continue to rise midday to like 8.6.
And that's why I
Which-
tell it to shut off at 2.5, because I don't want
Yeah.
it to rise that high. And even if my
Yeah.
alkalinity dips to 6, or last week it was at 7, that's cool. I'm fine with that. The corals look great.
The pH went down to 7.
No, the alkalinity went down to 7.
Oh.
My pH,
Holy
my
fuck.
pH is at night it'll dip down to maybe 8.19, and then the
Yeah.
peak day it'll go up to like maybe 8.28 to 8.3, and that's like I'm chilling. That's perfect.
Yeah, that's a nice line to be in for corals.
It's a SPS mixed. It's SPS dominant with LPS,
Cool.
but it's only
Very
a 60-gallon system.
I think that sounds a wee bit like a tank tour.
Oh, it's coming. It's coming.
I'm excited.
So yeah, I'm too. So that's the thing that you'll if you want to get your corals addicted to crack, you're going to be measuring pH, right?
I would not do
You're
calc
not.
without a pH probe. I'd be
No,
so
I would
nervous.
Right.
not. With that,
Right.
especially without a pH probe, like I wouldn't recommend calc without it.
I
Yeah.
can't do it. I killed my nano trying.
I wouldn't even
It's
try
a
it
slow
without.
drip. Slowest drip ever.
So
You
Ian,
put the IV in.
do you have it like auto testing pH and then like adjusting calc dosing based on that?
Yeah.
You would just
So
stop the drop.
Basically it only turns off after the photo period, so at night. And so you have to kind of calculate I'm calculating my doser to dose twice as much in a 24-hour period, but it's only dosing for 12 hours.
At night, you said?
Yeah, at night.
Yeah, that's
So
what
like
how
if
Chris
the
recommends it.
pH drops a little bit when the lights turn off, then that's when the calc goes, and it keeps the pH in a stable level till the lights turn back on, and then the pH goes back up and it stops. And it's been that way I've been doing this since January. Fairly new with it. Before that I was doing Alpha Reef, but this has just been so easy.
Cool.
That's interesting. You've gone to that from Alpha Reef, considering how easy Alpha Reef I keep getting told.
I'm tired of how expensive Alpha Reef is. Calc is
If you-
stupid cheap, bro.
If you're using a lot of, if you need a lot of AFR to keep up, it's not cheap at all.
So I guess I always ask everyone who does calc, how are you supplementing your magnesium and traces?
Water changes.
And that's enough to keep you in range.
Pretty
'Cause
much. I don't
I-
ICP. I don't check calcium or magnesium but once a month, and it's always within a range that I'm comfortable with.
So I'm at a point right now where I'm dosing Alpha Reef and my magnesium is below 1200. And
So you should
my
just add
it's
add
almost
some separately.
Yeah,
I'm
add some
going to have
separately.
to, right? But imagine how much magnesium I would be adding on a Kalkwasser dosing regimen. Like I
How
would have
big is the system?
It's a 90 plus a sump, so 90 to 100 gallons.
I think tanks get to a point where if you really want to pay attention to them, Alpha Reef you will get past Alpha Reef.
Yeah.
It can't keep up. I know people who do maintenance use it because it's easy, but
Yeah.
You'll get to a point where things get out of balance, and you have to break up. And once you break up one, it's just like, why don't
Yeah.
I just break up all three?
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Sounds like, Jordan, you're on the cusp of potentially
Well,
moving.
I was talking about this with Mr. Budnick actually, just because I'm like, I want to switch to calc, but then it's like, well, it's not broken. Just like start adding magnesium in. Like Zach Warner will add magnesium in once a month, and he's got a system twice the size of mine with twice as many corals in each tank as one of my tanks. So if he can add magnesium by hand, there's no reason I can't do that. So that's kind of where I'm at right now, is run the Alpha Reef, keep my calcium, my alkalinity up. My magnesium is obviously deficient, so I'll manually add that. It's doing traces, so it's already in a good spot. And obviously, if it becomes excessive, like where I'm burning through a 1,600 gram container in a couple of months, then we'll start to think about, because it's 100 in Canada, it's like $105 for 1,600 grams, mind you. That lasted me over a year for my last container, but I'm also dosing more than double in my new tank. So it is starting to become exponential. We're going to see.
You could look at mag flakes and some Epsom salt and try to make a little mix.
Road
Because that's
salts?
really all you're buying. That's all you're really buying in the containers.
Seriously.
Already.
Yeah.
The mag
make sure-
flakes come right from the Dead Sea. I know we've been talking about the Dead Sea in this episode, but it's like Dead Sea mag flakes.
That's the stuff.
Yeah.
Yep.
Now, Jordan, I think we're in the same. We're I'm moving in the same direction as you. I know at some point in time I'm going to get so much into the tank that it's going to be, cost prohibitive to continue with AFR as the only thing. I haven't gotten there yet, but I can see that that's going to come eventually.
I'm trying to
Because that
figure
stuff's
out.
expensive. Like, it's so expensive.
It is.
I'm trying to figure out what is consuming all of my magnesium. Like I've got a lot of like Montipora and stuff. I have no idea what's drinking it up, but
I've
So
heard
my problem
Monties
with-
are mag heavy.
With
Does someone
Alpha
else double
Reef,
check your test? Your
So-
mag test?
I've purchased a new magnesium test kit and it read the exact same as my other one. It's the like Aquaforest. I test all the big three with those titration kits.
Hey, I use that one too.
Yeah.
They're good.
Yeah, like
so if you're using Alpha Reef and you're starting to see an imbalance with the three things you're testing, do you worry about other imbalances with things you don't test, traces and
yeah, definitely. So I actually just bought the like Biomag magnesium supplement, which is supposed to dose magnesium and traces in the correct proportion to each other. So I may be looking at potentially overdosing certain elements of traces because I'm like redundantly dosing traces, but I think that it's at a probably fairly safe level if Tropic Marin's selling the product. And if it's consuming magnesium, the traces are probably also being consumed. This is all hypothetical. I've never run an ICP test. I'm kind of cheap that way, but it's stupid what we decide to cut corners on financially when you're thousands of dollars into a system.
I
Yeah.
agree. You can get a bag of citric acid for just a few dollars.
I
And
know.
it cleans
I know.
tailpipes.
Yeah.
I don't like adding anything to the
spraying my
tank that can't
tailpipes
be
with that.
tested.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you don't do any trace dosing, but you do ICP, right?
I do ISP, so I'll just up the replenish, my bright will replenish. If I'm low, I'll just up the dose, and I don't try to single anything out specifically or give it special treatment.
Right.
I just add a full trace blend.
That's kind of where I'm at as well, but I don't.
Have you sent your aquabiomics away yet, Mr. Budnick?
You fucker. Nope. Today, maybe.
I'm just so paranoid. Every time I look at an acro now, I'm like, that branch looks slightly wonky. It's Mike B. He sent those couple of photos, and I'll never. They're burned in my brain.
Yeah.
I'm not joking.
Maybe do. I think I do have an issue getting height. Like all my stuff kind of grows outward, and maybe I do look a little bushier rather than tall. So maybe I do have something going on, but everything's growing. I got good color. It's a confusing thing.
Let's move
Yeah,
on. Let's
I've
move
been
on.
thinking
I can
about
see
that
you going
too.
Down a rabbit hole
Now
there,
you
Budnick.
fucked me up, man.
Sorry, Ian. On you go.
Well, I was thinking about that too because I was looking at Jim's purple stylo and looking at mine. I'm like, his is a lot more compact. Like the branches are a lot closer. Mine are a little bit more spread out, and I'm wondering what like the difference in.
So if you look at my tank, it could be a combination of things. So I took my tank, I grew some small corals, and then I fragged them and moved them throughout my tank to fill it in because I didn't want to spend a bunch of money on corals. And I have the same coral under high flow and under medium flow, and it looks like a totally different coral. The one that is under high flow has grown like a really dense bush, and the one that's under low flow has grown with spread out branches.
Okay.
It's
So maybe
crazy
my
how much of
flow's
a
higher
difference
than
that makes.
yours. Yeah.
Could be. You've only got one power head in there, so it's a 2-foot tank. Can't have much.
We'll see it on your tour.
Yeah.
I've not been keeping up with the chat. Shit. What's happening here on the chat? What is this? There's a photo of a woman in the chat.
Oh my God. It's the queen of testing, Elizabeth Holmes.
Who?
Elizabeth Holmes, she started this company called Theranos, and they were trying to make it so where you could easily get a blood test for cheap with just one drop of blood. And it turned out to be a massive scam and a fraud, and now she's in prison. But she like changed her look to be like Steve Jobs. She even changed her voice to sound like Steve Jobs.
I don't remember Steve Jobs sounding that masculine.
Tons of documentaries out on her. She's a character, but kind of some sad stories in there too. But it's just hilarious just how fucked up the whole situation is to some degree.
Thanks, Brandon.
You're welcome.
So just to go back, is everybody testing all the same stuff?
Mostly just alk and salinity, and then
I'm testing everything.
Right, Beth, you have an assassin's fucking briefcase full of eggs. So are you,
Yes.
are you using them all the time? Do you go one out, test, one out, test, whole lot, all the time?
Every week.
Holy
So let me get this
So-
straight. You don't calibrate the Hannah pen.
knew
But
that
you
was
test
coming.
everything
I
every
didn't
week.
say I didn't
Huh.
say that I don't calibrate it. I
Huh.
said I haven't calibrated it in a while.
Oh, okay.
There's a difference.
Okay, fair enough.
So, yes. So I was testing religiously, like, I mean, every week for a long, long time. And then I kind of fell out of that routine. And then, I started back up again. And, mainly I was having issues with SPS. I can grow LPS, softies all day long, but I'm having issues with SPS. So that was part of my light upgrade. And so I've got the lights, and you know, I'm still having some issues with a couple of SPS. Other ones are doing great, but I'm having still some issues. So lately I've been testing twice a week, sometimes 3 times a week. I was testing like every 2 to 3 days. Um, and so everything was like, my numbers are where they should be. So I sent out an ICP and my aquabiomics test, and they actually were delivered yesterday. So hopefully I get some answers from those. But yeah, on a regular basis though, at minimum, I'm testing everything once a week. So alkalinity, calcium, magnesium, phosphates, nitrates, pH, temperature, salinity, all of them.
Damn.
Yeah.
All with Hannah checkers for the most part.
Let's see here.
Or-
Yeah.
So do you have those Hannah checkers in your will?
No.
Okay, well, think of me. No.
Think of you. Okay. All right.
Beth just mysteriously goes missing, and
Yeah.
Jordan has a
You just-
briefcase full of
You
Hannah
just see I like
checkers.
show up with a briefcase, like
I keep that thing by my bedside. That's a weapon.
yeah, really.
That's like my bat.
So
Chucking eggs.
here's a question for everybody. If you're testing everything once a week or every 2-3 days and everything is consistent, do you ever, be honest with me, do you ever get bored and you think, well, everything is just the same all the fucking time, I'm going to back off, test less, or just stop testing? Has anybody ever been there with
Absolutely not.
That was me.
Fucking right.
That was exactly me.
Okay, because I have been there years ago now, maybe 6-7 years ago. Every test was consistent, and it just became slightly fucking boring. I didn't see any trends. I wasn't putting anything new in my tank. Consumption wasn't going up. It wasn't going down. And then shit went sideways. So yeah, Ian, how did you get back to testing then? Did you have a disaster?
No, I just kind of, my buddy was like, when was the last time you tested? I was just like, it's been a few months. So I decided I'll test it, and everything, nitrates were a little low, calcium was fine, magnesium's fine, alkalinity's fine, phosphates higher than normal, but
He's a good
everything
friend.
looked great.
Keep
But
testing.
when I first started my tank, I tested it weekly for like the first 9 months, and I didn't really log anything. I just tested it and went on my day. But I got bored of it, and I just kind of said, my tank looks fine.
That's exactly it, though. You know,
been
if
there.
everything just keeps coming back the same, it's like, well,
Yep.
it's coasting, it's doing okay. Like the shop tank, for example, I'm testing very infrequently now because I am now finding that my water changes every night are keeping everything at a level I'm happy with. I'm not putting any new corals in there. I'm not changing any parameters. Yeah, the phosphates go up and down a wee bit, but you know that. Yeah, I've almost stopped. I don't test the big three in there at all anymore because everything's just, the salt is doing its job. That's all I'm trying to say.
Mhm.
Jordan, so
I think
a little book.
Yeah, Jordan's got a fucking journal.
Yeah,
Tiny though.
very old
Tiny.
school, but it sits right with my test kits. So when I test, I pull it out, and then I admire your discipline, Jim, to be able to input it into an app, because it's just a little bit too much work for me to fucking do it. And
I am totally
it's-
with Jim
it's-
though. You can then see graphs and then you
The-
see
the-
different
Yeah, but
things.
The app
what are
is
you gonna
easier-
like jack off to the graphs? Like, there's nothing you can do with it. Like,
What do you do with I mean, you've got a paper journal
yeah,
with your hands wet. That's what she
Yeah.
said.
I like the paper.
I mean, it's
too.
quicker for me to use the app than it is to pull the journal out. I always have my phone in my
Well,
pocket.
you got water on your cell phone, Jim. You can't
Yeah,
have.
right. Electronic.
My cell phone's waterproof.
That's
I
what I
don't
was
need. It
about to
doesn't
say.
matter if my hands are wet.
Right, right.
So you get a little drop of water on your journal, and you can't read 37 journal entries.
I'll be honest, man. The only thing I look at is my previous journal entry compared to my current one. Did my alkalinity go up? Did my alkalinity go down? Did my calcium go up? Did my calcium go down? And then I adjust my dosing based
Why
on
even
that.
write it down then? At that point, you should have remembered, unless you're short-term
Sometimes
memory
I'm a
issue.
bit lax and I'll be like, when was the last time I tested? Was it a week ago? Was it 2 weeks ago? Fuck me. Let me look. Oh, I dated my sheet. Perfect. Like, and I don't need to look at 3 years
You
ago.
know, I do that. I do the
alkalinity.
same thing. I just pull my phone out if I can look at it. I don't even have to get off the fucking couch
Right.
and find my journal.
That's fair.
I'm with you, Jordan. I write everything
Thank you.
down.
I'm
I
just
put
like,
Hold
everything in
on.
the
Let
app.
me go into my closet and get my old paper binder out and see where my fucking last test was.
but when I pull out my test kits, my book's
Because
with
that's
it.
so much faster.
I just pull the
It's
book
not.
out.
It's
when
not
I
a race, Jim. It's not a race.
See,
Well,
of
he
all
said
the
it was
things-
faster. I'm just comparing what he said.
See, of all of the
flip
subjects
arm.
we were going to discuss today, I was not expecting it to kick off over journals.
Oh man.
Honestly,
Right.
how we log information is the one thing that everybody's falling out about.
Gonna write that new hit song, "Jacking Off to the Graphs." I mean, Jordan's inspired at this point.
Yeah, everything comes out the closet.
Oh, that's funny.
Brilliant. I personally like the Apex graphs for alkalinity and pH and watching the trends and things like that. But I mean,
I do like that.
I'm not looking at 3 years of graphs. No, I'm not.
Yeah, I like keeping
Yeah.
track of like when I've changed the graphite in my carbon reactor, or oh, it's been 4 weeks. Fuck, I probably should do that. Or it's been 5 weeks. I need to change that. Or it's just
I'll
easy.
literally
because
write
it's
like little
always there.
notes, like, oh, did a water change on this day? Changed carbon on this day. I don't know. It's effectively doing
Can
the
we
same
sc-
thing.
Can I screen share?
You should be able to. Yeah, I think everyone is allowed to screen share, which obviously is a dangerous option to have switched on in Zoom. But I trust you guys. Do a fuck.
Close your Pornhub.
I mean, as soon as somebody normally screen shares, it's normally just everyone draws dicks on it.
Can you see it?
Yeah.
There it is. Nice.
There it
Okay.
is.
So this is
So
I love that app.
boom,
Cool.
all of my tests, and it's as
Boy,
easy as
what
open up my
what a
test.
nerd.
Right, doing this. All right, my phosphate's at 0.5. Save. Boom, done. And I can look at every test. I can see when my last water changed, weekly water changes. I only put carbon as my dosing because I don't. So yeah, I highly recommend. Last time I vacuumed my sand was almost 2 years ago. So
Fuck
That's the
off,
last time
Jim.
you
I don't
logged it. Logged it.
I don't do it anymore.
So I downloaded that app after your maintenance tour. I
I have that
downloaded
too.
it and I entered 1 week's worth of tests into it and just never looked at it again. And
Well, sometimes you forget.
I
I
do the same
forget.
thing.
Yeah,
I
I
always try
want
to use
to.
it.
I
and I'll
wanna
go to
be
look
that
back and I'm
guy,
like,
but
oh, I'm an idiot. I didn't put it in the app. Oh well.
It's not too late. You could put that whole journal in there still.
Yeah, you can add
Yeah.
them.
Yeah,
I think it's
You just have
it's
to
just
sit down.
it's just preference. I think it's just all personal preference.
Yeah.
100%. But I'm with Jim. With the getting it wet thing, I did have when I first started this entire hobby, I just had A4 sheets of paper in a folder, and I would just write the date, write my tests down, all the rest of it. And then one day,
I would probably.
it got
fuck that
fucking
up.
soaked, lost the whole lot. But it doesn't.
You know,
matter what 2 years.
I
That
like-
was a good day, wasn't it, Ron?
I like that app when I first started my tank because I could track my testing. I could see how well I was doing with my testing. Was anything changing? Like I tracked phosphate. Like I did have GFO for a while in my dual reactor with the carbon, and I would track my phosphate, and it would go from like 0.03, 0.05, and I'd change my GFO, and it would go right back down the next week to 0.03, 0.05. And then after 3 weeks, I'd see it go up a little bit. And then after the fourth week, it would go up to 0.05, or to almost to 0.1. I'd change it, it'd drop right down. You'd see it go right back to 0.03, slowly stay steady. Week 4, boom, straight down the next week. So it was fun to track those things, just to learn.
We ask our customers to use that app, so it's easier for myself when they come in to see what's going on in their tank. Because the graph is easier when quick on the spot visual for someone that's not your tank, that you're not used to, than looking through paper logs
with their fucking handwriting. Seriously, some of the stuff that comes in here is like, Do you want to read that out? Want to read that out to me? My mum sent me to get this from the shop. We don't sell potatoes.
That's Ian now that's Ian and Jordan.
Right.
Yeah.
25 Ian. That makes you.
You guys used one of these?
299.
That is my winning tool for testing.
Pipetter.
This was the game changer for me.
Okay.
This was absolutely.
How far does that fit?
All the way.
I don't use this bit. This bit's not exciting anymore. This was just like
that's just a waste of time.
No, this was training wheels. I'm now up to here, and then this. Anyway, all I will say is, if consistency is key, and you're testing at the same time every week, but you are putting random quantities of water in your test vials, then it's a fucking waste of time. So this is why I got this, and I get exactly 10 mil. And I'll be honest, that 10 mil on this does not line up perfectly to the 10 ml line on my vials, but I'm doing this every week with this one tool, and it's consistent. So my tests are all in line. So this is my number one win, and thank you for
Have you calibrated this again? I've only done it
you're
one time.
twinning. It's twinning.
Yeah, so have you seen how expensive some of these are online, by the way? On Gab.
Yeah.
Ron, is that on adamandeve.com or?
I'm going to assume that is a marital aid website.
Brandon,
you don't know what that is.
You won't get that 50% first purchase discount if you're already a customer.
Oh.
Can you make a second account? I mean.
Oh, there you go.
So yeah, I've calibrated this twice since I've had it. I didn't enjoy it. But yeah, if anyone is going to be testing regularly, I would highly recommend one of these. What's that, Jordan? That's a pen. What's that? A pen?
Just an ink pen.
Yeah, there's a bunch of pens sitting on the desk, so I just grabbed one and I'm mocking you with it.
Oh. Does everyone want to give
sophomoric
Jordan a round of applause for that?
Yeah, for sure.
Is that a pen? Is that a pen 15?
Yeah.
I heard that.
I can get the whole thing in.
You can get the whole thing in.
Yeah. 2 even, Jason.
2. Woohoo!
We should probably move along.
Yeah.
Now we're talking.
Are me and Zach the only people that have?
Brianna, I don't have one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Zach, is your mic on?
Yes.
Oh, there we go. Yeah, you're the one that when I was talking about these said for consistency, absolutely. So yeah, you're part of the reason why I own one of these. So thank you.
Yeah. I take it a step further with neurotic control. I actually have a scale. I use it with a scale.
Oh
wow.
So is it like a jeweler's scale? Really, really fine increments? Yeah. Okay.
Yes. So
you measure the weight of your water?
Yes.
Wow. In grams. Pounds or in grams?
Grams.
Solo cups.
No, we're not going down this. We're not going down this route. we are having one episode without fucking solo cups. Behave. Back to you, Zach. Sorry.
No, you're good. You're good, Jim, too. I appreciate the humor. Sophomore at Golda. No,
I want to go
I
back to
do-
middle school. I want to go to middle school for Ben.
Yeah.
Thanks.
No, I do like Ron was saying earlier, the more that you are consistent with your actions, the more you're going to have consistent testing. So he listed time, obviously the amount of water. I take it to tenths of a gram. So I actually measure my water salinity first. And so you're actually looking for like typically 10.26 for 10 mils. Even being consistent with the sachets, like, you get the little packets of like for high range nitrates, and I use phosphorus actually. I don't use phosphate, but just being consistent with your sachets too, just trying to get as much as you can out. But I think there's a built-in factor for fuckery. I think there's a point in saturation where you can't go any further. So they actually load those packets with as much like extra. I think they load it with extra. I can't remember where I heard this. But
I know what you're talking about. I've heard similar. Like, don't worry if you don't get that last little bit in. I've heard.
yeah. So
God damn it, Beth.
I'm sophomore.
Me too.
Sorry. That's a really
No.
interesting topic, though, Zach. I agree with the wee
I'm just
sachets.
sick. I'm just.
I've now got a technique with those little Hannah sachets for that very reason, that I get absolutely every drop out, and I am meticulous with it. Again, because if I'm going to be lazy and I'm not going to get every last bit of powder out, then I'm not going to get consistency. But anyway,
You're not like ripping it open like this, are you? And like,
Yeah, what's the technique?
no,
Yeah.
I'm not.
okay.
No,
Just making sure. Okay.
I
making
am
sure.
following the cut line around.
I
the
wouldn't know
top of the
anything about that.
sachet.
Okay.
Cool.
Okay.
so
Cut line. Credit card.
Ron, I know what you're talking about. So like, you know how there's like an air pocket? I always try to make sure that all the powder's out of the corners opposite of your cut line.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's stupid.
You flick
but
the bottom corner,
Yeah,
then you cut it,
I
and then
tap
I
it.
make it into a little like a
yeah,
spout.
the little origami
Yep.
fold. Yeah.
I use a little
Yeah.
plastic
Yes.
foil.
Smack it.
Now, Brandon, this is interesting. You
You
mentioned
flick
that.
it. You flick it.
Depending on the quality of your plastic funnel, a lot of that potassium disulfate will actually stick to the funnel,
Yep.
giving you inaccurate results.
Yes.
Can you use a straw?
Yes.
Fuck's sake.
I just like, got a little thing and just flick it down in there if there's any, left over.
I think if the inside of the funnel was like highly polished, it would be fine. But I found my 3D printed little funnels, which were great, and they fitted the top of the vials absolutely perfectly. They caught too much of the powder for me, and then inconsistency.
That's why I stopped using the funnels. It would stick.
Makes sense.
So yeah, does anybody have anything else they want to talk about with regards to testing?
So I use Salifert
Same.
for everything other than. But what I strongly recommend is anybody else who uses like Red Sea or Salifert. If you are getting towards the end of one of your packages of testing agents, get a new one, and for a couple weeks, dual test. So you can see consistency. So you can see if one package to the next package is slightly different. And you can, in your mind, start to think, okay, this one's slightly different. What I have been getting is this. This either was no good or this one's good. So you have an idea going forward. Don't just go from test kit to test kit. I would recommend overlap.
That makes sense.
I have not
Never thought about
used
that.
the fluid test kits in years. I did start off with, is it the API Master Reef Kit or something? And it's just a whole load of droppers and stuff like that. it worked okay to begin with. And then, because I stopped testing ammonia.
Look at that skimmer cup. Holy shit.
Wow.
That is a girthy cup.
You could stick your head in there.
Very girthy.
Do you have your cup, Jim? Cheers.
Here's my cup, Jim.
That's a big fucking cup.
UPS lost it.
Fucker. No.
If
It
there
got
was
shipped to
buying
one of,
it.
it got shipped to one of your clients' houses so they can sip on it
Yeah.
while overlooking the lake.
Yeah, right.
Could you imagine if you did ship a cup and then another, female/girl was to come in and sit next to Beth? There would be 2 girls and 1 cup. That would
No,
be.
not
How
going
did
there
how
either.
did
Get the
I
fuck
know
out.
you were going there?
No.
I knew it.
It's simple mathematics, Jason. It's 1 cup
I
two-
see. I was refraining.
and 2
From going there.
girls. So
I should have known that you would go there.
I have no idea what you're talking. I'm just talking about math. That's all. We're talking about testing. So anyway,
Ian, Jim makes the cups. Just so you're aware, he does pottery and like makes
Oh,
them.
hell
That's
yeah.
why we're talking about cups.
yeah,
Hell yeah.
has everyone seen these cups that Jim
huh.
makes?
Everyone's
Oh,
seen-
actually, I thought there was stuff in that cup. It's actually designed that way. That's cool.
Yeah,
I
it's
thought it was like a coffee.
yeah, it's
like
amazing.
cold brew.
And I've got mugs as well. I've got mugs up there.
That's really nice.
with knives in them.
No, that was just for the
Never able to
photo.
clean my protein skimmer the same way again. Thanks, guys.
How does it
Mine's
taste,
getting
Alex?
frothy.
Does it taste nice?
How does it smell?
Oh, I can only imagine it's not pleasant.
Oh, it's not. I clean twice a week. This thing don't smell at all.
Oh,
Really?
I thought they were supposed to stink.
No, not really. Ooh.
Does it not stink so much that you would like leave it in your hot car over the weekend or something? Or
I don't know if I do that, but
Leave it in the kitchen sink.
yeah,
Next to the kids' sippy cups.
yeah.
Oh.
That's how you build immunity.
That's fucking gross.
Isn't it?
You
Jim,
do
come
that?
on over, I got a job for you.
Wow, there's no children's sippy cups. My fuck, that's gross.
I'll use the kids' bottle brush. No.
Yeah, I was gonna
Yeah.
say my toothbrush and just
Well, this has gone off the rails entirely.
Fucking gross.
Alex joins
Gross.
the fucking chat, starts cleaning fish shit from a huge cup, and everything just turns into a disaster. Although,
Yeah.
Alex, could you send that cup to Beth, and then Beth, if you
Look at that.
Oh, that's
Frosty.
fantastic.
Pete,
Does it
and
come?
Good
Does it come with
milkshake.
Does it come with a hamster too? You send the hamster
looked
in
like-
the cup. Otherwise, I'm out. I'm out.
slippery little suckers.
It just smells earthy.
So, while you're here, Alex, would you mind just giving us a quick rundown of what test kits you use, how often you test, and what you test for?
I use Salifert, and I'm testing elk a couple times a week right now because the consumption's starting to go way up. I will also test magnesium, calcium, nitrate, and phosphate. But really those every 2-3 weeks, once a month maybe. You know, I really just look at the elk, and then really I always monitor temperature and pH. The probes are in there, but I don't really pay much attention to them. And that's it.
Do you
What
have
do you
any
dose it?
plans to use any automated testing equipment at all, Alex?
Nah.
No.
if I was really interested in the data, I would do that. But I find that once it gets going, unless there's a purpose to it, it's probably going to cause more harm than good.
Well, I would expect with the water volume that you have, things take they would move pretty slow. I would assume.
Well, that's a yes and no. So, from a nitrogen cycle standpoint, that will move very slow. From an alk, calcium, magnesium perspective, though, and this really, I feel this is for any tank, is it won't move quickly as long as you're maintaining your dosing. But
Right.
if you lose the dosing, you can crash that. Doesn't matter what size tank it is. If it has high consumption, you'll crash it. Because
Yeah.
I'm going to have, well, I was going to get my calcium reactor working, but it had a couple, well, had one leak on a fitting that I finally found after years because I turned it to more be pressurized instead of pull. And so I patched that leak, and then another fitting started to drip. So I just said, okay. So I'm going to convert my Geo to have one of those CO2 chambers, the new ones, but I'm going to DIY it. But, you know, once I get the system up and running, it's going to be calc and calcium reactor for sure. So that way, if I lost one, at least I'd have another one. And then if I ever need more, I'd probably just add another calcium reactor or calcster or something to the system. So that way it gives me a little bit of a buffer. If I lose something, it won't crash so hard.
Yeah. Makes sense.
You know, and Jim, you should be happy to know the handful of SPS frags you gave me are not dead, and they're actually growing.
No.
Nice.
So fourth try is a charm.
It's called adding 4,200 gallons of water to a system and diluting whatever was left in it.
Yeah.
Is that a wind up or is that true? 4 times.
What?
Is that a wind up?
A wind up?
Four lots of corals. Did you lose
No,
3 lots of corals from Jim?
Yeah, because I had a lingering metal issue still.
Oh.
Yeah.
And
it's hard to
some of
tell
that's-
when people are joking on here.
No, he kept bringing stuff over. He's like, well, I'm going to throw it away. And I was like, let's bring in the next batch of test subjects. So they're all still alive and growing. And I actually was able to give Jim corals last time because I kept feeling bad. I was like, Jim keeps bringing me stuff and I don't give him nothing back.
Yeah, he finally gave me the 50-gallon frag tank so that I could house a bunch and be able to keep bringing them. I think that's really why he gave it to me.
It's
Got to keep my frags going for me to drop them off when he's ready to test again. Now they're just going to flourish. I could give you some big Monties. I got some big Hollywood stunners too.
I got Ryan Cunningham is moving to California. And the last show I was at, I made a deal with him. So I got like 5 bucketfuls of coral from him. So that back tank, I filled that up pretty good. And then I'm buying a bunch of lights from him, and he's going to bring fish over too. So, but yeah, we'll have to see because I probably have some things I could break giant chunks off to give you if you want some new stuff.
Sweet.
You're both going to be throwing shit in the bushes in no time. So listen, we're getting close to 2 hours. Does anyone have any other testing subjects they want to discuss? I've got to the bottom of my page, so it's up to you guys if you anything else you want to talk about.
Your page, so you do have an agenda in front of you.
Oh yeah, I didn't deny that.
Jim just fucked it all up right off the rip.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I did.
yeah,
I
you did.
fucking
Just-
steered it my own way.
You just ripped right down the fucking page.
I didn't get the agenda. I'm tired of not getting the agendas. I'm always the one who doesn't get the agenda.
Nobody gets it.
I don't know. Brandon got an agenda last week.
I did. I did.
See?
Well,
True.
I told him.
I mean, I
It's a
did get an
tank
agenda
tour.
before my tank tour.
I never did. I had to fucking I had to solo that shit.
Me too.
Can
I
we
And
made
the
the
view
agenda.
show.
He just copied my tank tour.
Was
That
your
was the
fax
first
machine
one.
on, Jim?
The fucking thing. He just copied my tank tour.
Can we just be honest
What did you?
and say that no matter what has been said in terms of agenda, it's never gone to plan. So it's a fucking waste of time.
No, never ever.
It's like herding fucking cats. Honestly, I am so glad I now have an actual poll because see that Carl bot thing I installed on Discord? You bastards. Honestly.
You got rid of Carl because you wanted to change the results. New voting machines. Bullshit.
Free Carl.
I care enough
Free
about
Carl.
the results that I rigged it. Yep.
Hashtag free Carl.
That's what happened.
Bring Carl back.
And where's Carl's mom?
In Ron's ass.
Everything else is in there, so
Yeah, why not?
Well, okay.
Ron is Goatsy. He
So-
is the original Goatsy.
Let me fart Carl's mum out my ass, post her over to you, Beth, along with a cup from Jim,
No,
and we got a party.
I gotta see what Carl's mom looks like first.
Well, I hope you all
she looks
know
just like Ron, except with long hair.
Oh boy.
Jim,
Horrible.
Photoshop
Horrible.
that.
I already have one. You want to screen
All
share
right.
it?
I am
All right, let's
so
screen share
glad
that
we
bad boy.
got to the end.
Screen share
before
Ron with long
edit.
hair.
Yeah.
What?
I'm gonna lot this part off. Like,
Yeah,
all
it's
right,
easy though.
let's
This
do
is
that,
an
let's
easy
do that.
edit. I just cut the end off. Fuck it. Thank you so much to everybody for clearing their diary for this episode of Talking Bollocks on.
Oh shit! I just spilled water on my journal.
Get a book,
That's
kids.
what it was. Water.
Yeah, was it water?
Anyway, thank you so much, everybody. Until next time, goodbye.
Or I'm gonna slap you right in your penis.
How is everybody today?
I can hear you now. Good. How are you?
Hi, Jason. That's a lovely little wave you're giving us there.
Morning, bitches.
Morning.
Who the fuck is that down there? Ian,
What up, Ron? Everyone.
how are you?
That's
Good to
not.
be here.
That is not what I expected you to look like.
What up?
Totally not what I was expecting. What's going on?
What's going on?
Can you describe what you were expecting, Jason?
Yes, please.
Yeah, what
Yep.
were
No,
you
please
thinking?
don't.
How old are you?
Just turned 25.
Fucking youngster.
Guys,
No way. Is that
I'm not the baby anymore.
Ah!
Fuck yeah. Let's go.
New kid in town. Let's go.
Did you guys discuss the moustache before the live stream?
Nice.
A little thin, but I'm letting it go in. Letting it grow in.
Excellent. I mean, I think Beth was working on one, but she's had a shave, so we're okay. So I just want to say before we start, Jeff B is chatting on Roofy as Fuck Discord, but he's not here.
Right.
What a jerk.
So
What is that?
Jeff B of Coral View, just for everybody watching, just so that we can out that fucking guy right now.
yes, and
That vanished off.
I'm not editing that out. That's staying in. Yeah, okay, so do you want to get started, or do you want to just fuck around for a few minutes first and get all the nonsense out of the way? I can see Jason, are you snapping one off?
No, I was trying to get the tripod to move.
You've got a tripod?
Yeah, just a little thing to hold my phone. Because when I prop it up, it falls over. Fuck you, Beth.
You're doing it. I'm just listening.
Uh-huh.
The kickstand.
I see you're rocking a BRS
Hey, look at this.
t-shirt.
Look at this. Uh-huh. Look at
You got a wedding to go to today?
that.
Sorry.
Ooh, sleeves today.
The mustache distracted us. We didn't even notice you had sleeves on.
Yeah.
Fuck's sake. Also, Zach left. I wonder if it's because we were talking
Fucking
about
dick.
mustaches. He's maybe upset about mustaches. So Ian's rocking a big fancy mic with, let me just say, a green light, everybody.
Oh.
This was
ooh, yeah.
$40 on Amazon.
I like it.
Well,
Me.
I like it.
Yeah.
Ron
Chris.
knows about the green lights on his microphone.
I do. I had to get rid of mine because it had a green light. I thought green light meant it was broken. So, you know.
It works, right? You
Uh-huh.
can hear me good?
Yeah,
Yep.
perfect.
Sweet.
Perfect. Yeah.
Zach's
Zach
back.
is
Yeah, he's back. Brandon's
Sorry.
joining.
When's the store open, Zach? Hour?
2.
2 hours?
Yep.
We better get this show on the road then, Aggie.
Hey, Brandon.
Hey, what's up, man?
Get those top offs.
Yes.
Tops off or top offs?
Top off the tanks. Or
Oh,
both.
right, I thought we were all
Whichever.
together
I mean,
topped off.
depending how the temperature is. It's getting warm, so, wouldn't fault you.
You look
That's a
you're
sweet
all
mic.
set up for your own podcast, Ian, with all like products in the background and a mic off to the side. Professional.
I've been doing YouTube for a couple years, but I've slowed down and I've just been chilling. So but I do have a PC meant for it and everything.
Cool. I need to check your channel out. Oh, Mr. Budnick is fucking prepared.
You got
Yeah,
a whole test
Brianna,
system out?
Brianna got me all set up.
I bet she did.
Ooh, look at that.
Are you dressed from the waist down today, Mr. Budnick?
Yes.
Excellent.
That's a shame.
I know it can get breezy when the door opens. Anyway.
I got my
Hey, so-
Crocs on, but they're sweaty.
Oh.
Yeah.
Sorry,
I
Sweaty
don't know why.
Crocs. Oh.
Did you say
I got a.
did you say Crocs?
Crocs.
Yeah, you don't know what Crocs are?
Sorry, I know what sweaty cocks are.
Ooh, look at that. Money shot.
In lounge mode still.
Oh my.
Need to do the lick test. Anyway, so I think the plan today, instead of one person talking about all of their testing, I think when that happens, we go completely off on a tangent. I know we will go off on a tangent anyway,
Yeah, does it matter?
but I think we choose one test and then we go around everybody, then the next test. So I think it makes the most sense. Oh, I need to do the intro first.